Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and a traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members first. To my left, Neil Harding. To the far left, Linda McFadden. I'm Marcel Larondo. The assessor today will be Merrick Rollock. And our administrative assistant today is Carrie Balshaw. We'll be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we'll limit discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed out to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. As directed by the Manitoba Health, we're requesting people to avoid close contact within 2 meters. With anyone showing symptoms of a respiratory illness such as coughing or sneezing, you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting that you excuse yourself from the room. Thank you. We'll move on to the first file, number 165 Ryan Street. Correct?
So, Mr. Assessor, please state your name.
It is Merrick Rollock.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Applicant, please state your name.
Kara, I'm just going to need you to speak up a little bit. I heard the chair just fine, but I think you're a little far away from your microphone.
Yeah, okay. Can you state your name?
Bradford Scott Borgstrom.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Oh, and I'll just confirm you did receive copies of the assessor's briefs? Great, thank you.
Merrick, you're up.
With 165 Ryan, I do believe there's a withdrawal on that one.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have looked all the way to the right. Boy, that was a quick one. Let's go right to the second one. 1155 Sherwin Road.
Sure thing. File number is 195393 for 2020. Address is B1155 Sherwood Road. Business ID number is 50636. Total ARV that we have listed here is 319,980, using a total area of 37,190 square feet, with an overall ARV including occupancy costs at $8.60. Using the base ARV is $237,644, using $6.39. We have heat, electrical, water, and air conditioning for total occupancy costs of $82,323 to come up with $319,980. What's interesting about the mailer that we have here for a similar property on 115 Sherwin Road, they have a reported rent from 2015 of for 20,800 square feet on this complex for $10.48. And the comparables that I have showing here that are all in the northwest quadrant, on Midland, Century, North Notre Dame, and Sargent, all ranges between $28,000 or $29,000 and 34,000 square feet, which is slightly less than the subject property. And the rent range from $6 to $6.63. What I have on here is the next page shows where it's located at, which is right in near the airport district on page 2. And we have 2 pictures here showing the overhead shots of it, and some exterior shots of the property as well. What I also have here as note is there's a lot of inconsistency with regards to the income and expense data provided by the applicant. So we don't have any information. So I looked at the 2017, 2018, and 2019 roll numbers.
I'm going to interrupt just for a moment, Derek. You said applicant. The applicant here is for a business assessment. They're not the owners.
Okay, the applicant for the business assessment, which is fine, but
is not the owner of the real estate. And you said the applicant returned the IMEs. They did not.
I understand that, but I also have a job to do, and we base our information for this property based on income and expense mailers received by the property owner. We have no information from the property owner on this tenant. Thank you.
Brad, you got some questions, Mayor?
I do have just a few, and most of them will carry forward to the balance of the premises on the docket this afternoon. In looking at your rental comparables, you're showing, by my count, 4 of them. Do you know when they were built, or if there's a varying age on any of them?
I can provide some information on that. Just bear with me for a sec. So for 25 Midland, actually I don't have the year here, but I know the wall height's 20 feet, and it was built in 2002. Or that's the effective year built that we have for that property.
That's the year of construction or the effective year built?
That's our effective year built.
And what's the effective year built for the subject premise?
For the subject premise, what we have listed here is 1973.
So you're using something that's almost 30 years newer just for your comparable one, correct?
When I look at the information here, based on the permit information, the different buildings, there's 3 different buildings as a part of this, built between 1965 and 1989.
And the department has assigned for the subject premise an effective year built of 1973, correct?
You know what? Because I didn't have the opportunity, so I don't know the quality of the finish for this area or space, but there are 3 different buildings. The wall heights for these buildings are between 19 and 22 feet. And so, I can't comment on something that I haven't inspected.
So if we take a look at your page 3, you show an overhead of the subject, the whole of the subject property in which the subject premise is 1 unit, right?
Yes.
Now you described 3 separate buildings.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at this picture, I can see one with what might be considered an addition. Do you know what the 3rd building is?
Well, I see potentially 2 different roof lines for 1155. So, because I got a little cutoff there as well. And so my guess is, so
do you know?
My educated guess would be, and just bear with me here for 1 sec here, because it may be in one of your prior briefs. No. Oh yeah, it's a Stevenson brief. Sorry, I haven't inspected this property, so I'm just speculating. But based on history, I would think that the newest building would be 1151 Sherman Road, because usually when buildings are created for the first time in terms of access, they build on the front section and then they build if they decide to do an expansion, they'll do it on the back portion of the lot.
So let me slow you down there. You said, and the question that was asked dealt with the number of buildings on the site. You said there were 3.
That's what, according to what we have on file.
Okay. But in looking at your picture on page 3, there doesn't seem to be 3 buildings, right?
No, I'm looking at the roof lines here. So it says there must have been a building addition at some point, and that would be the reason why there is 3 different buildings here.
So not separate buildings, but rather an addition.
Well, there's 2 separate buildings here, and we have 3 number. This is how we've broken it down. So whenever there's a building addition, let me finish, please. Whenever there's a building addition, what we'll do is we'll include it as a new building area, even though it may be under, it may look the same. What will end up taking place is that it's under the same roof line, but there's an addition to the building.
Okay, turning back to your comparable number 2, rental comparable number 2 at 895 Century.
Yeah.
You know what your build wall height is?
Well, we have 14 feet high, and it was effective year built is 1961. For 895 Century. 1961, 14 feet high.
2030 Notre Dame.
Yep.
Same question.
22 feet high. Effective year 1973.
And 1271 Sergeant.
What we have is 1981, 21 feet high, and 1981.
Okay, now you show a premise area of 37,190 square feet.
Yes.
Do you know where that number came from?
Well, that's what we have on file, and I'm anticipating when we initially did the BA for this property, that's the information that they had given us. But like I've stated before,
They who?
We base all of our information for business assessment based on the income and expense mailers received by the owner. I realize this is the applicant, but there's also, we are only able to do the job with the information that's been presented to us. And when I cross-reference the 2017, 18, and 19 mailers, nowhere did I see that the tenant for this property on their mailers. So we're only as good as the information that we get.
Okay. So you'd agree that it's entirely possible that the city's records on the premise area here are mistaken?
Well, or what could have happened is maybe if the agent would have provided us the lease ahead of time with the new information provided to us, that we could do an inspection and make an adjustment on it.
Well, Mr. Polik, you'll recall that we did have that sort of email exchange with the area being an error.
You know, it's like I said, we're all under tight deadlines here, and you could have said, Merrick, this is important. Here's what I have for the leasable area.
So do you know, or did you look at occupancy permits on this property? Building permits?
No, I did not. I just looked at the income and expense mailers.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Linda, any questions?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Neil?
I might have, well, I will have one later on dealing with the board realty decision, but we'll come to that.
Okay. Brad, on with your presentation, please.
Thank you. The first thing I'm going to do is take you to page 14 of our submission. This is a copy of the lease agreement as between the tenant and the landlord. Now, physically, we need to account for the fact that they were occupying the premise for business assessment purposes, and you'll see on page 15 that I have actually redacted the rental information since it is post-reference economic. But what it does confirm, and I'm going to draw your attention to on the top of page 2, clause E, there's a premise area there of 35,329 square feet. That's the lease area of this unit, effective date of the lease. And if we turn to page 14, we will see that the effective commencement date is August 1st of 2018. And so physically they were in there as a assessment, and physically they were in there with only 35,329 square feet. That's the area that we've used. So in taking a look at what the premise should properly have a rent assigned to it as, take a look at page 5. And I've shown here a fairly large number of rental comparables. Some of them are quite large. Some of them are closer to the subject property in terms of size. Certainly the ones smaller in size, you see a range there from in the mid $4 range and up. The other thing that I'm going to draw your attention to, and I will tell you right off, we did not represent the owners in the 2020 realty assessment deal. I have included an excerpt of the city's brief on page 9. And you'll see there on page 10 where they've broken it down into premise IDs. It was pretty clear for the 2020 business assessment, the department did not correct the records based on the new occupancy. The city certainly has a record of the occupancy permit. So we had the opportunity to verify and measure the space. And in fact, I raised it with Mr. Bullock well in advance of the submissions of these briefs. So we took a look at that. We took a look at the Ford decision, and we show that on page 12. Now, it's the board's decision. I see here that none of the members sitting today were on this particular panel, so I tried to work it backwards. And the closest that I could come, based on my estimate, was $6 a square foot, based on the realty decision, and that's the rate that I've applied. That's consistent with the rents that we show on page 5. That's what we've applied in our analysis. We go through the calculations on the bottom of page 6, applying $6 per square foot on a net basis to 35,329 square feet. The occupancy cost is below that. The rate per square foot of the occupancy cost is not disputed. And so we're looking for a reduction to $290,400 based on all of that. And that I am open for questions.
Mayor, questions?
Okay. And did you not know that, like in the decision of the workup, that they would have factored in vacancy in the realty decision for that?
So I worked it backwards, including to try and come to a gross potential rent, and I came out with $6 a square foot.
So, but did you, when you looked at the workup or when you did your estimate, does this building have a high history of vacancy?
Vacancy wasn't accounted for, Merrick. It was, I worked backwards, and it indicated that it was based on the assessment department's adjusted net operating income.
Okay. And would they
so bear with me for one moment.
Yes.
I'll pull it up again. bear with me. Stevenson, or this document I'm looking at, is 97 pages in length, so just bear with me for a couple of moments.
Okay, could I just...
So I can tell you that in the brief that was filed on behalf of the city for the 2020 assessment appeal, the city applied a 4% vacancy rate.
Okay. And as of 2017, what was the actual vacancy for the building?
I have what I'm telling
Okay,
you.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but you're making an assumption here that the adjustment was made only on rent. While we look at the adjustment for realty and we make a realty decision, would an adjusted net income also include a change of vacancy rate?
There's no evidence of that in the documents I'm looking at.
But that you presented, or that was in the Stevenson brief?
That's in the city's brief.
Okay, well, but I'm asking though, we go to a hearing, we have the opportunity to look at information, and then we make adjustments, or an assessor may make an adjustment after hearing per se. So,
Right. So let me answer your question by saying that, again, the city brief in respect of the 2020 realty assessment that I'm looking at used a 4% vacancy rate.
okay. But does the city change vacancy rates based on actuals that are presented at hearings?
They do sometimes not,
Yeah.
but there is nothing in the evidence that I've seen that would give any indication of that.
But would you agree with me that there could have been adjustment on the board decision based on the adjusted net income, that you could adjust the rent to come up with an adjusted net income, or you could adjust the vacancy to come up with adjusted net income? Would that statement be correct?
Or you could adjust the shortfall, you could
Yeah.
adjust the number of the factors that go into
Okay.
the calculation of a net operating income.
I-
My calculation and my estimate is based on the city's brief that was submitted at the board meeting.
Okay. And are you familiar with any other rents that are a part of this complex?
Not within my evidence here.
No, okay. So you can't say that there would be a rent there for $6.50 that was reported on the 2017 mailer? Could you?
Well, I don't see that within your evidence, and it's not within mine.
No, but based on the realty decision, I am under oath here. And with regard to...
Are you giving evidence or asking a question?
I asked you the question if you know what any of the other rents were for this property. And you said no. And so...
Let me see if it's in this document.
Oh, so did you present? Okay, I have the Stevenson document in front of me. Do you know what the rent that the Stevenson group presented for their income approach to value? Because you're quoting it, and I have it in front of me here.
So UPS was in there between May of 15 and August of 17, occupying a little north of 20,000 square feet. There is no shown rent for that one, so I'm not quite sure what that one was. Bird Construction was in there occupying, hold it up a little bit, roughly a little over 16,000 square feet. Subject premise is about twice the size. That was at $6.50. So looking at that, certainly $6 seems in line.
Okay, so I'll ask you this question once again. You have the Stevenson brief in front of you?
I didn't do the research for the Stevenson brief.
Okay.
I'm happy to have you tell the board what was in there.
Well,
but again, it's not within either of our evidence.
Well, you talked about the Stevenson brief, so I was wondering where you're quoting this information from, because I have it in front of myself right here for the board to look at to prove.
Eric, what I was referring to was the city brief referring to a 4% vacancy rate.
I also had heard that you had talked about the Stevenson brief. Okay, so I don't want to make this a long afternoon. The Stevenson brief that I have for review is stating that their valuation was $6.50 a square foot. The valuation that we're using here today is $639. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Well, no, he was doing it.
Okay, sorry. Okay, no problem.
You were asking him.
No, you know what? Okay, because Brad's presenting information. I can't even remember right now.
You were asking him questions. He's presenting.
You know what? I think.
Well, we're going to move on to the next questions if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Neil?
Okay. What adjustments did the assessment department make in their net operating income?
You know, when looking at the information at hand and looking at the actual performance of the building, when we worked at our adjusted net income, we adjusted the vacancy.
Vacancy.
We adjusted the vacancy.
And you maintained the $6.39 rent?
Yeah, it seemed reasonable for the area based on my comparables.
What vacancy rate did you use then?
You know what? I had started it, but I didn't finish it just due to time constraints. It was not in my colleague's brief here, but I do believe he ended up changing the vacancy to 7%.
7%?
Yep.
5%?
Yeah, so our model, so what we have for 2020, our model rent, and then this is based on sizes here, right? So initially on the recommendation that he had made was $6.58 for the entire complex. And he used the 7% vacancy.
Do you have any questions for Brad?
Okay, that was a raise. And no questions for Brad, no.
Linda, do you have any questions for Brad?
I don't have any questions for Brad. Thank you.
Brad, I have just one question. Is this before the Muni Board or was it?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Did this go to the Muni Board, this decision?
I don't know. Yeah, again, it's not our bill. I don't know if it's appealed further.
Okay, thank you.
I was actually just trying to work backwards from Eric's indication that it was a 7% vacancy rate, but I don't want to take up too much of the board's time reading while I run through those calculations.
I have it here for review if you want to use the numbers that we had here. So we use 62,064 square feet.
But the leasable area on the brief shows 64,871.
On the workup here, yeah, so we made adjustments.
I'm looking at the city brief, Merrick. It says 64,871.
Yes, and I'm looking at the workup here that took place, and our adjusted area was 62,064. Just bear with me here for 1 sec. Brad, what's the discrepancy in our square footage?
Well, it's 64,861 and whatever number you had. Sorry, 64,871.
So 28, is it 2807? Does that seem reasonable?
2807.
Let me just do the math here.
What is 2807?
He's got 32,151.
Okay, because based on what we had initially presented and are based on a recommendation, there's a difference of 2807 square feet.
Okay, so there was no recommendation in the file. There was no recommendation attached to the city's or within the city's brief submitted. So, and I appreciate it might have been verbal, but I don't have any reference or knowledge of that.
But I don't know what to say.
But what square footage did you use on that?
For the recommendation that we had used for this property, and I just want to make sure that it balances the recommendation here, because I think they adjusted the cap rate. So what they had done here is so what they had done here, let me just do the math. They took our number and they just changed the cap rate. 335, 656.
So your net operating income was 391,580.
Our net operating income was 335. So our net operating income was 335,656. That's what we had presented here.
But not in the city's brief, right?
This is what we had as an add-in, which is odd because when I look at the decision here that had taken place, none of the numbers match, but I do see a $6.58 rent here that we had presented here with a recommendation of $4,742,000, and they cut it to $4,589,000.
They didn't go with the rent.
They didn't go.
Well, if we capitalize the stated net operating income of 335,656,
Yep.
at 7.75%, we come up with 4,331.
Right.
Yeah, which is
So there's a discrepancy there.
There is a discrepancy there.
So if they adjusted the net operating income, would they have adjusted it upward or would they have adjusted it downward?
Well,
We know what the cap rate is.
Yeah.
7%.
Yep.
But we don't know what square footage you use.
Well, exactly.
Well, the square footage doesn't matter because Merrick has told us that the revised net operating income is $335,656.
That's what we put down on here, but we don't know what the board decided upon, right?
But if you cap that at 775 per the board order,
Yeah.
that works out to 4,331,000. But the board didn't reduce it that far. So if the department has recommended a net operating income and the board has applied a different cap rate, we don't come up to the number that showed on the board order.
No. Because our recommendation was 4.7 and they cut it to 4.5.
So gentlemen, the thing is, that's one of the reasons we don't like looking at past orders, because sometimes the other board members make mistakes. So we'll deal with the evidence that you're presenting to us today, and we'll try and make reason out of that. Is there anything you want to put forward other than what you already have? Because you're sticking to your square footage of 37,190, and he's at 32,151.
Well, based on the new information here,
Yeah.
I have no problems adjusting it because
To 32,151.
yeah, because I want to be true to the process here, right? However, we're only as good as the information that we have. The mailers are inconsistent, and so and there is an adjustment that the previous assessor made on that. So I don't think what Mr. Borgster is presenting is unrealistic, but in the same.
So to be
let me
clear,
finish.
Hold on.
Let me finish. So what I'm saying here is like we have a 2,800 square foot difference. Brad, your difference is 3,200.
5,000 square feet.
well, I'm at 35,329
And
with the subject
and
premise.
we're at 37,000.
Yeah.
So
So you're saying the gross floor area is 32,151. Where do you get 35 from? On your page one, you're saying
hang on.
32,151. You're throwing different
No.
numbers.
So if we look at page 6 of our information, that's 35,329.
Right.
The chart on the bottom of the page,
yeah.
35,329.
Page 6.
And that's confirmed by the lease. This is actually, I believe, a signed lease.
I'm sorry.
An excerpt of it
Am
on
I on
page
the right property
15.
here?
The top of it, so at the top of page 15 under clause E, it says that it's 35,329, which
Yes.
is consistent with the figure we show on page 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're okay with that number, correct?
With Brad's square footage?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're just saying that you still want the ARV to be at $6.39, not $6.
Exactly, because the information presented on the mailers that we have is $6.50. The information presented on Mr. Stevenson's brief was $6.50. So I have no troubles making an adjustment to the area, but I think our rent's fine.
Anything in summation, gentlemen? You read first.
No, thank you.
Merrick.
I got nothing.
Good. Let's move on to the next one. 540 Marjorie Street. I do believe you have a rec for that, right?
That is correct.
Read the information on the record anyway.
Just bear with me for 1 sec so I can hold
We all
this.
bear with
Just making sure.
Number 3.
File number 195187. Business ID number is 4501. Total ARV that we have is 255,120, utilizing 32,151 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is 794. Occupancy costs, including heat, water, electricity, and air conditioning. The air conditioning has been adjusted. Total occupancy cost is 69,277, which is how we came up with the 255,120. And that included a base ARV rent of 185,833. What we have here in place right now is I'd like to make a recommendation to apply the rent of $5.50 following the realty recommendation, and the new ARV is 246,120.
Yes, you're in agreement with that. Is that your number you're asking for, right, Brad?
That's my number, but for the record, Merrick, and I want you to have this corrected at the department, you're showing this as owner-occupied. No, it is in fact a related corporation. I've worked with this company for a number of years now, and they are Old Code East Coast, so they're related corporations. So I would ask that you have the department's records on that corrected.
Well, looking at the 2017 mailer, your client that you've worked with for many years has reported a net rent. So
I understand that. The mailer is unclear, and I'm telling you that this is a related corporation. This is not an arm's length lease.
Okay, but you're representing the client. Aren't you under obligation to correct that information with your client as well?
I'm under oath, Merrick. I've dealt with this client for many years. I've dealt with both the realty and the business assessment appeals.
So is it too much for me to ask you to talk to the owner to have him completed as being owner occupied?
Well, I'll certainly refer them, make that request of them. But you're here on behalf of the city assessor, and I've asked you to have the city's records amended, so.
But it's tough though, but I'll make a
Okay,
note
gentlemen,
to
we resolved that issue. One of you will take care of it. Let's move on to the next property of 2070 Logan Avenue, please. Oh, actually, did the members have any questions on that one?
No.
I'm sorry. Good. File number 4.
File number is 195226. Address is 2070 Logan. Business ID number is 32293. Total ARV we have is 341,040, utilizing 43,364 square feet, with an overall rent per square foot of $7.86. Using 43,364, we have $5.68 rent. There for heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning, the total occupancy cost is $94,746 to come up with a value of $341,040. There is a reported rent here that's from 2003 at $6.53, and we're going to be following the realty decision and use $5 per square foot, and the new ARV is $311,580.
Brad, you good with that?
Yeah, that's what we show on our page 6.
We're on page 1.
It's just,
Right on page 1, though.
yeah, so and that's what I was double checking real quick. So that's a typo clearly on page 6, which is our calculation of it. So we're good with 311,580.
Thank you. That will conclude that matter unless we have some questions from the members. Doesn't look like we do. Thank you very much.
Also owner-occupied, Merrick. Cataract
Let's not
Realty
get back
versus
into that
Cataract Aerospace, Old Code East Coast.
Move on to the next one of 2058.
Yeah.
Number 5. When you are ready, Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. File number is 195283. Business ID number is 4446. We have a total ARV of 280,920. Total area that we have is 36,341 with an overall ARV of $7.73. Using a premise area of 36,341, we have a base ARV of 191,880. Combined heat, electrical, water, and air conditioning. We have occupancy costs as $89,035. They come up with an ARV of $280,920. What they reported for this property is they reported an area since 2001 of January 1st, 2014 for 9 years at $36,341, utilizing a rent of $5.89. I have comparables that are all in the northwest quadrant, also including the subject property, which has been bolded here for the 10-year lease, showing square foot areas between $5.25 to $5.89, and the areas reported between 27 and 45,000 square feet. If you look at page 2, you'll see the overview of where it's located at in the Inkster Industrial Park. And then subsequently the location here of how it's situated on the building. Property is Freightliner on page 4, showing some pictures of the subject property, showing that the space is actually quite nice. Page 6, page 7 shows the lunchroom. Page 8 shows just the counter space and some office space in page 9. Page 10 shows second floor storage area. Page 11 shows the actual workshop area. And page 12 shows the breakdown of the office, the service components, the magazine rent, the mezzanine racking, and the parts. And that concludes my formal presentation.
Brad, any questions?
I do have a few. There is an unheated structure on this property, correct?
I haven't inspected it, so I do not know.
If we look at your overhead on page 3, in the bottom right-hand corner of the red outlined area, you'll see there a structure, yes?
No.
Do you know if that's included in the premise area?
I do not know.
Okay.
But what I do have here, yeah, I do not know.
Okay. Bear with me for one moment. I don't have any further questions, thank you.
Linda, any questions?
So just so I understand, we're not clear on whether the 36 includes the 3641 includes the unheated area?
You know, we have 36,341, and the applicant has 36,341.
But the applicant is saying that 900 of it is unheated.
Okay, and that could be the case. I can't comment because I haven't inspected the building.
Okay, thank you.
Neil?
No questions.
Brad, on your presentation?
Thank you. And so this is, again, a hold code, lease code circumstances, owner occupied, not an arm's length lease. We show the calculations on page 3. The improvements were constructed in 1967, 1979. show the details, but there's also a 900 square foot unheated garage. And as I've already pointed out, it is in the bottom right-hand corner. We show it on the bottom of page 3. The assessor will also show it in his, and then there's some land area. So we've taken a look at rents. We are showing on page 5, we're using $5 a square foot based on those rental comparables. And we've applied that to 35,441 square feet. And in considering the 900 square foot unheated garage, I show there 2 separate rental comparables of unheated space. These are on Eagle Drive. They are, in fact, the only ones that I'm aware of that are unheated arm's length rentals. And there you'll see $1.48 to $3 a square foot. Those are actually gross rents. So when you net them down for sub-zero, we're applying $1.50 to 900 square feet, and we've accordingly adjusted the occupancy costs. You will have hydro, you will not have water, air conditioning, or heat in an unheated structure. So we'll go through that. Overall, the rate works out to $4.91 a square foot. That includes the 900 square feet at $1.50. And we've adjusted, as you see there, the occupancy costs for the different areas. We're looking for a reduction to $257,280. We do show the post-reference listing. This property was actually put up for sale. They were going to vacate the premises. That was their plan last year. And it turned out that the interesting times we live in, there was nothing more than tire kickers looking for a fire sale price. So they pulled it off the market, and as far as I'm aware, they still remain in there. And so, based on all of that, looking for a reduction of 257,280.
Mayor, questions?
With regards to, did you appeal this property for realty in 2020?
As I said, their plan was to sell the property, and the lack of a realty assessment appeal does not preclude a business assessment appeal either in terms of an owner-occupant or a multi-tenanted building. That's certainly the case. We dealt with an appeal at the municipal board where there was no realty appeal filed, and the department settled business assessment appeal.
Okay. So the rent that they provided us, is that a book rent?
It is a book rent, yeah. It is not arm's length.
Okay. So it is a book rent, yeah. And looking at the quality of the building per se, would you say that it is of above average, below average?
From what I've reviewed, from the information we have on file, I'd say, and you can certainly look through the Shindico listing that I've attached at the back. That'll reflect current physical condition. On page 11, you'll see there the warehouse area. That's average. I suspect that the office area is much the same on page 10. So I would conclude, based on all of that, that it's in average condition.
No other questions, thank you.
Linda, any questions?
I'm not getting 35.
You're getting 33,790, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting the same square footage, Brad.
There will be some mezzanine space in there. So what I'm showing on our page 3 is the plan area.
Okay.
There is some mezzanine space. The assessor and I agree in the total square footage.
Right.
What I'm saying is that 900 square feet of that is the garage unheated.
Correct. Okay. All right. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Neil?
Okay, no questions. So it wasn't appealed. There's no decision on it, so that's fine.
Okay. I have one question here where I see conflicting information. So on the brief here on page 5, okay, so the $1.50 is for the, okay, it's adjusted. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And just for clarification, for Ms. McFadden, There is a mezzanine area, as I indicated in there, 2551 square feet. Now, it's not in our information, but if I pull this over, I can screen share it with you, if that would help.
It's okay.
Here, pull it over. Bottom.
Where did it go? Oops, all of it. There we go. All right, okay, hang on, bear with me.
We're all living together.
There we go, that's the one I want to share.
Still don't see it.
And I'm coming.
So it's Christmas.
There we go, that's the one. So can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll see there over here, you'll see main area, mezzanine, gross floor area. Gross floor area is a total of 35,441 square feet. So the 900 square foot discrepancy between the city's premise area, and I also just want to note that the garage is not assessed for realty purposes, but they've tacked it onto the VA. Now I haven't excluded it, I've just said it should have an adjustment made to it. So for business assessment purposes, 35441 plus 900 square feet, we should have went to the right number.
Chair, do you have an additional question for the assessor?
I can.
I have an additional question for
Yeah,
the assessor.
no problem.
If
You may.
at this point.
Yeah, go for it now.
So, Merrick, would you agree that if in fact there is a 900 square feet included, that it's unheated, it would have a lower rent?
Oh, it would have. But then here's another bit of conflicting information that I have here. So if we look at the Shingle Code, page 11, they're documenting clear span, large vehicles and service bay of 36,207. So that throws another wrench into it. So that's a 35 and the 900. I see that. That makes sense.
Well, if we look, Eric, if we look at the top left-hand corner of page 11, it says main building.
I understand
Those are
completely.
minus 35,307, and then the storage building 900 square feet.
Yep, it's 36.
So those numbers are very close.
Yep, exactly. Yep, and I agree with you, Linda.
Okay, thank you.
If I knew that, then we would have changed that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
None? I have a question. None. So that concludes the matter, correct?
The questioning is done.
Yeah. Now, you didn't make your report yet. We've just been all over your sheets. You made your report, didn't you? You reported. Yeah. Well, it's done. Let's go. I'm confusing myself enough already. Okay, you guys help me. Let's move on to the next item, number 6. It'll be 2081 Logan Avenue. Merrick, when you're ready.
Thank you. So, when looking at the subject property here and looking at what has taken place, and going through our documentation here, which is right here, I have a bit of a dilemma because, with good intentions, with regard to this property, when I start off, this property sold for, I'll give it just a bit of history for this property from the realty side of things, 2081 Logan sold for $2,250,000 in September of 2015. It was a good sale. We cracked up all the information here. One of my colleagues came in, took it on appeal, and she made it direct from the realty side of things, which, based on the information that she had at the time, she felt a rec using a model number. So essentially what it goes down to, the initial value was $2,462,000 for realty. She made a recommendation of $2,207,000 for that property, assuming it would go away, assuming that there would be no further appeal. The agent for this property took it to the municipal board and was...
For the record, that's not us, right?
Yeah, that is not Mr. Borgstrom. So this is why I'm sharing this ethical dilemma that I have here. Because usually if there's a municipal board appeal outstanding, I'm not following through with this. But I understand different agents here and circumstances on my analysis. So when we look at market rents, we look at vacancy, we look at cap rates, we look at the whole component. This was a good sale and my cap rate study backs it up. But ethically speaking, when we look at the roll number in question, which I'll start off here at 2081 Logan at 4458, our initial, we have a total ARV of 231,480, utilizing 21,216 square feet, having an overall ARV of $10.91. The base ARV is 185,216. The combined occupancy costs are 46,262, and our rounded value was 231,480. The subject lease that we have in place is for $7.75, and that's the rent that Mr. Borgstrom is asking for today. Our rent that we used for our recommendation was $7.84. So based on the recommendation and the rent that we had used, it was $212,580. The actual rent that's in place, but we're model generated with regards to the model, and we use that, so we take the highs, we take the lows. The actual presented is $7.75. When we look at the information here, I show the subject property lease at $7.75. I'm showing comparable rents in the neighborhood, from $7.25 to $8.96. So I feel our overall rental rate is fair. I also have a post-reference sales listing, which is significantly higher than what the 2020 assessed value is. So I'm putting this all on the table here, and I am defending 231 for, actually I'm making a recommendation, because that's what the assessor did, to 212,580. But I also understand the applicant's position.
Are you okay with the 212,580, Brad?
I have what's that based on?
The recommendation we made at the 20.
I understand that. We weren't involved in that appeal.
He's offering you 212,580 right now.
Right. Is that based on $7.75 a square foot?
Correct.
No, 784.
784.
9 cent difference.
You're killing me.
He is.
I'm accountable to my bosses, and I got to be true to the process.
And I'm accountable to our client.
Brad,
so.
And realistically, when this is at a hearing, we'll be seeking an increase from the realty value that was cut in 2020.
Well, and that's out of our control, right? So.
Let's not debate that side of it
Yep.
right now. Right now, the question for you, Brad, is are you okay with the recommendation?
Well, our submission based on 75 a square foot is 210,660, based on not only the assessor's rental comparables and ours. I think that's well supported. So it's such a small difference, but realistically, in terms of our client, I don't know why it should not be 210,660 based on 775 square foot lease in place.
But you're going to try and sell us on that? You want to make the whole...
I'm not going to go through our whole brief, but it just seems really clear to me.
Okay,
Model driven, we looked at rental comparables, and that's the lease in place.
Okay, let's see if there's any questions for the assessor here. Linda?
I have no questions for the assessor.
Neil?
No questions for the assessor.
So just to be clear, you are 212,580, and that's at 784.
That is correct.
Okay, Brad, on with your reason why.
Well, as I said, I'm not going to go through it all. We're looking for 775 a square foot based on the actual lease in place supported by rent of the variables, 210,660. We agree completely on the occupancy cost side of it. It's just the rent.
Okay, and that was a verbal rent, correct?
That is,
You didn't
yeah.
give it to it in writing. Okay. Any questions of Brad? Linda?
No?
Neil?
No?
Neil? Brad, thank you very much on that. Let's move on to the next one.
I felt I had to give you guys the history of that, so for my own purposes.
Ken Irene Tormont. This is, here we go again. This was already brought in for adjustment. I had to step out on this one before.
Okay.
I recall that. I did the appeal.
I do business with this company, so Neil, I'll ask you to step in for me.
Okay.
You're only because you're closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, myself.
Okay. Here, you can proceed then. 10 Irene.
Sure thing. File number is 195537. Roll number is 51446. We have a total ARV of 342,420. Premise area is 36,470. And our blended rent all in is $9.39. We have two different premise areas. The first one is 29,410, using a rent of $7.95. We have an area of 29,000 for heat, electricity, and water. Air conditioning is 3,052 for total occupancy cost of 36,093. Come up with a value of 296,880. For the second premise we have on file is 7,060 square feet. Base RV for that is $5.19 for a total of 36,641. The heat floor we have for this is, essentially 1 square foot because it's unheated space, or at $7,060 square feet. Occupancy cost is $8,897 to come up with $45,540. Utilizing the 342,420. What we have here is we have some comparables for the areas, and we're matching the realty decision to come up with a value of 285,360. On page 2, that shows the breakdown of the rents that were used for the decision for the new recommendation. And we have we've shot of it on page 3 and 4, and just the general some outside pictures of it. And that concludes my formal presentation.
Okay, questions there?
I do have just a couple. So
there was a rec.
Eric, you're in agreement that there is roughly 7,060 square feet of unused space, right?
Yeah, the rec was for 285,360.
Okay, first of all, Brad, how do you feel about the rec?
Well, I'm looking at the discrepancy. I based our submission off of the numbers we used at Board of Revision, which the Board of Revision, on the realty end, I did it, which the board agreed with and applied. And I'm just trying to figure out where the discrepancy is. Just give me 1
Is it
second.
non-recoverable?
So we've got that.
I think they have it back in the non-recoverable.
So $7 on the heated space, $250 on the unheated Quonset structure, $585 overall. So just bear with me for half a second here. Okay, so Here we go, the share screen again. So I'm giving you evidence, but I'm hoping this will shortcut things. So our page 10 from our board revision brief shows the potential or gross potential rent at 213,350.
Could you actually make that a bit bigger, Brad? Because are you guys having trouble seeing it?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Are we good there?
Yep. So that
So,
matches.
yeah, and I can jump up a couple of pages to show you how that was arrived at.
I
But
think it's just the
213,350 is the
Well, just like
rent.
Brad,
Brad,
Hello.
I think the board added back in the non-recoverable, the 5% non-recoverable.
Which is fine because we're doing that to get to a net, but for a gross potential rent, 213,350 is the number. So you'll see the other adjustment down here for non-recoverable, right? But the gross potential rent, 213,350, and a couple of seconds. Am I looking at the right one? That's not the right one. Okay. But that was the overall rent. So gross potential rent for that square footage, 213,350. And that's, so if the board agreed with our net operating income, with the adjustment to the net for the non-recoverables, we still add 213,350 for a gross potential, which is what the ARB is based on in terms of base rent. So I'm not, Merrick, and so I guess my question is, I'm not quite sure how you got to your number.
Yeah. But your methodology makes sense to me, Brad. So, you know, what you're presenting here, the 282,360.
I think it just went backwards. You just went backwards. Right?
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
do things like that.
Brad, you've got water on 25,910?
Yeah, because we exclude, so for unheated space, it can never have water because it would freeze
Yeah.
in the winter months. And that's long established. It won't have heat and it won't have water and it won't have air conditioning, but it will have hydro. And that's why for unheated space, we show only hydro. The other space is, I think, the correct figures.
Yeah, but the city's using 29,410 for the water and heat and electric.
Okay, so hang on.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
29,410.
Okay, so let me do the screen share again, and I'll show you where the discrepancy is. Oops, I'm going to share that screen. So the city correctly shows these buildings 2 and 3, and you can see a picture there as well. Just pull that down a little bit. So you can see the buildings are numbered 1, 1A, 2, and 3. And so 2 and 3 are in fact unheated, but a part of 1A, a part of 1 is also unheated, and the city has missed that. It was certainly the case in past submissions on this property, and this goes back a ways, but that's what our records show as partly unheated. Not the entire space, only a portion of it. And that's the difference in the...
A part of unheated and a part of 1A is not heated?
So a part of building 1
Yeah.
is unheated, and all of 2 and 3 are unheated. And I think, so I can take you through these.
The difference then, that would be the 4,000 square foot difference in the...
Yeah. And so as we look in here, right, it's got lights, but I don't think in here that you see fans for the summer cooling, but I don't think you're going to see any gas-fired heaters.
But it's all under one roof though, right? So wouldn't there be subsequent heating as a part of that? Because is it a separated area or is it all under one roof?
It is a separated area, and so under building 1, you see a storage area, and at the bottom in building 1, you see there's labeled cold storage. That's the area that's unheated in building 1.
So
And that's right out of our realty brief.
So if I go 20, just wait, okay. So if I go 29,410 minus your heating area of 25,910, that's 3,500 square feet. So the unheated portion is 3,500 square feet in building 1?
If that's what your calculation is, yeah.
That's what I have, and is that the difference that we have here then?
Yeah, that'd be the difference.
Yeah. No, it's just I want to make sure.
Okay.
I haven't. Brad, has anyone from our department gone here recently, or?
I don't know.
Okay. Because what you're saying makes sense. It's just, without being able to visualize it and be there, right?
Well, yeah, this was also exactly what was presented at the Board of Revision Realty hearing.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And you know what? Because the recommendation was significant. I didn't do any follow-up research with regards to comparing the two because I thought the cut was enough. And I'm just being honest, right? Because, it goes from, you get a drop of...
So you're going to stick with the 282, 360 based on the unheated space, and are you stating your recommendation 20 of 285, 360?
Well, yeah, my recommendation was the 285, the 285, 360.
Okay.
And it's, I can't dispute Mr. Borgstrom's under oath. He's consistent in his approach with regards to his evaluation, so I'm in no position to doubt what Mr. Borgstrom stated.
So are you going to accept his value, or are you?
Well, I'll let the board decide that. Based on the evidence presented.
Knew that was coming.
Your boss is on the golf course. He's not watching.
Well, I got to be true to the process, right?
Okay.
You know what? Without seeing it and visualizing it, you have to accept the agent's word for the truth.
Fair enough.
And for the record, I can tell you that there was no further appeal on this decision by either side, if I understand correctly.
It's all one side. Number 75 Cole Avenue. And you have a rec on this one too?
Yes, you do.
Wait.
Does it match Brad's value? Yeah, it does. File number is...
Does it match?
Yes, it does.
Miracles happen.
Actually, you're lower than him, aren't you?
Am I below him? No, I don't think so.
You're like
303, 420. No. File number is 195452. Business ID number is 40931. ARV that we had was 326,580, utilizing 35,450 square feet and 921. What we've done is I have some comparables that are shown here. We look at we applied the rates from the realty decision, and the recommendation was accepted at the appeal. And my recommendation is for 303,420.
Brad, are you good with that? 'Cause I thought that
I find it very difficult to argue against my own numbers.
Because you're at 303. You're at 303. 420 Why on your recommendations are showing 285, 360 on the bottom? Am I on the wrong sheet here? No, I'm still on.
You're still on Irene.
I'm sorry.
Walk away, you know what I mean?
Walked away and I missed
comments, Uh-oh, are we going to have to just do an audible and bring Neil back in?
That's it. That's my kidding. Good enough.
I'm the backup quarterback. Just called in for the quarterback sneak.
Quarterback sneak. 1615 Inkster. This time I will shut it off. Getting used to this computer is... Yes. Correct. When you're ready. 1615 Extra.
Yeah. Before I start off, this property is at the municipal board in 2020, and there was a cut that had taken place at the realty level, but we're just confirming the values as it stands. File number is 195484. Business ID number is 51840. We have a total ARV of 312, utilizing $8.20 a square foot. Oh, Kara, was this the one that was potentially going to be? No? Okay, it was a different one. We have two premises here of 18,500 square feet to 19,550, with rents changing from 576 to 574. We have a breakdown of the heat, electricity, and water. So when you have the occupancy cost with the annual rental value, we got $312,000. What's been reported on the income and expense mailer is a gross rent that's been combined for this property at $17.69. So with that being said, and that was confirmed in the income and expense mailer that we had presented at our hearing in 2017. We have rent comparables that are similar size, between 15,000 square feet to 30,000 square feet, ranging from $3.95 to $6.50. Page 2 shows the overall location of it, just in the Inkster Industrial Park. There's the overhead picture of it. There's the overhead picture of it on page 3 and a visual of the property. And that concludes my formal presentation.
Brad, question?
Just a couple. So for the record, this is another one of these book rents, full Colby scope. The wall height on this building is reported as about 15 foot, is that correct?
15 feet. Yeah.
Okay. And your comparables would all be considerably higher than that, right?
I would have to double check my information here. And you know what? For whatever reason, I did not prevent my sheet for that. But I don't know for a fact that they're significantly higher, so I can't comment.
Your comparables are located, there's one on Oak Point Highway, but the balance are in Inkster Industrial Park.
That is correct.
Very few of those have 15 or 16 foot wall height, correct?
Bear with me here for 1 sec. So, on the comparables that we had presented at the realty hearing,
Are these the same comparables?
no, they're slightly different, but
So my question was about these comparables.
Yep. And so I don't have that information with you right now.
Okay. Would it be your view that all other things being equal, a building with a lower wall height would have less desirability and would attract a lower rent than a building with higher clear ceiling?
Yeah, but in our realty presentation, we provided 7 or 8 different rents that had wall feet that range from 11 feet to 20 feet, and the rents varied from $5.75 to $6.89. And then when we look at what's been provided with regards to the owner presenting us the information from the income and expense mailers, they do state that it's a gross rent that's in place, and they do state that, that it, just let me double check here. It's a gross rent. The owner does not check off owner occupied. And there's actually, for the property here, on the mailer, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tenants there. And all the rents are gross.
And so if you do a little checking, you'll see that Nortec and Nicholson Coward are related companies.
Okay, well, they did not click owner occupied,
I understand that.
and so we're as good as the information that were provided by the applicant.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Questions? Linda?
So you're telling me that this is being appealed by the city of Winnipeg, correct?
No, it's the tax agent. I believe the tax agent has appealed this to the next level.
Okay, thank you.
Neil?
Okay, no questions.
The decision was based on both the applicant and the city.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
Not helpful at all. I've got no questions. We'll leave it at that. Let's move on to the next.
I think Brad has to.
Well, I thought I might want to present mine.
You know, Brad in his questioning almost covers off his entire worksheet. Brad, go ahead.
That's pretty much it, yeah. So what we have here on our page 5, and the assessor's quite correct, the property as a whole is subdivided into a number of different premises. In this particular case, it's a book rent, so I've disregarded it. I've gone to the market, I got 21 rental comparables shown on page 5. You'll see there that lower wall heights, by and large, generally tend to attract a lower rent, lower desirability, of course, more difficult to lease. Based on all of that, I continue to believe that $5 a square foot is the appropriate rent. I didn't do the realty on this one. It's my colleague, I believe, Marcelo. We should take a look at George. So Marcelo Nora did it at the Board Division, and I came entirely with this conclusion at $5 a square foot with the low ceiling height being considered. I believe that and I've confirmed that the entire area is air conditioned. So there's no dispute with respect to occupancy costs, so we're looking for a reduction based on all of that to $282,500.
Questions?
Did you look at any of the other leases in place on this property?
Well, and so I can tell you that a number of them are related companies.
Okay.
So Mickelson, Coward, and Nortec, I've already told you, are related companies.
Okay.
And the other ones, I can't speak to with certainty. I believe it's also the case, but I can't say that of the fact.
So, yeah, because some of the other rents are significantly higher than.
Well, yeah. So I mean, when you take a look at, for example, unit, and I'm looking at. Sorry, let's do this again like that. When you take a look at the income and expense questionnaire, and you see their second last entry at Nortec, 10,500 square feet at a penny. Well, that's not an indication that it's an appropriate rent, right?
Yeah, but it could
so
be
they're
combined.
related corporations.
But they could be combined though, right? So what we would have done is we would have taken the 28,000.
I don't know about combining whatever. These are the units that are listed in the city's done what they've done with the premises. This is the area that we're talking about on this one. So if it was a larger premise in total, combining them all, you'd end up with a lower rate per square foot, right? So based on size.
Okay.
So for this particular case, $5 a square foot is an appropriate number.
Okay. You couldn't find any higher rents in different areas because I see your comparables on page 5 include a lot of properties.
In fairness, I did not do the brief for the realty for this one. My approach, and I believe that Marcelo does it exactly the same way, I tend to bracket a size, and I tend to bracket an age, and the location would be a third consideration. But when you're looking at all of them overall, and when you're looking at the rents that are shown here, you've got 102,000, number 18, number 17, 102,000 square feet on Inkster Boulevard, 1970, $3.12 square foot. You go one right below it, you're at 32,320, it's at 645, so they're kind of all over the place. But you'll also see that those are much higher wall heights. So when you consider size of the premise, the limitations of the wall height, certainly the limitations of the rent that you'd be able to generate from that space, $5 looks like a great number to me.
But when you're looking at rents that are closer to, like if you're, you're essentially looking at 3 times the size. And if you're looking at these larger spaces here, that's going to bring down the.
And as I said, when you look at the one right below it at number 18 at 645 square foot, but it's also got a 22-foot wall height. That's 7 more feet. That's a huge difference in terms of what you can generate in terms of the market.
I'm just looking on other information that we have here, right? So,
yeah.
And there are rents that are higher.
I hope you know this. When I'm looking for rents, I don't look for low ones. I don't look for high ones. I look for what does the market tell me. Mm-hmm. That's the evaluation that we do when we're making recommendations to the clients to appeal or not, because we certainly don't appeal all the ones we look at. But we come in there with an independent, hopefully unbiased opinion, right? We look at the market and what does the market tell us.
Yeah, well, I have no other questions.
Linda?
I have no further questions.
Neil?
Okay, so just to confirm then, that $5 was the rent used for the realty decision.
I just want to look and make sure.
We don't know what was used for the decision.
No, we don't.
I don't know what was used for the decision. Let me just pull this up here and I can tell you for sure what was used at the.
Well, because the decision wasn't clear cut when Brad said.
No, not the decision, but what I'm looking at here is what Altus used.
Okay.
At the Board of Revision. And I'm just waiting for it to open, so half a second. I was in the office this morning meeting with an assessor about the case management properties, and I forgot how fast our connection is downtown versus working remotely. To me, yep. So he applied a uniform rent, and I'm happy to show this to you. So
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, hang on. There we go. So the same rental comparables. The department used 578, and for 61,000 was the total building area, and so we just used $5 a square foot across the board for all of the different areas. 61,875 rental total.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
What was the year of this building? You might have mentioned it, but I might have missed it.
That it was built?
Yeah,
It says here 1973.
1973. And the height on this one was what?
15 foot.
15 foot.
Yeah, I can pull that up for you if you'd like, but that's.
No, that's good.
And I can confirm that as well.
Okay, I'm good. Let's move on to the last property, document 170 Eagle Drive. Come on. When you are ready, Mayor.
Yeah. So this one, 1725, was Withdrawn?
No,
1720?
that's the one that I mentioned to you.
Okay.
earlier.
So yeah, 1725, Altus is no longer involved with that.
Okay.
Which one, Eagle?
No, 1720.
I know.
And so,
Okay.
no, you wouldn't see it.
There, no, no, doc, I don't want to talk about it, okay?
It was on my documentation. Business ID number 52275. The total ARV we have for this property is 290,640. We have 34,255 square feet and an overall ARV per square foot of $8.48. We have the base ARV is 216,834, utilizing $6.33. Our combined occupancy costs are $73,793, with a small portion attributed to air conditioning, to come up with the value of $296.40. I just want to check something here. What we do have here is we do have a gross lease in place here from September 2016 for the area of 34,255, reported at $14.01. Our rent comparables range from sizes are similar between 25,000 to 34,000 square feet, so we don't have a huge fluctuation. And we're showing rents that are pretty close. We've got rents between $6.45 to $8.49 for similar areas. Page 2 shows where it's located at in the Inkster Industrial Park. Page 3 shows some overhead pictures. And that concludes my final presentation. The realty history for this is quite unique, and the property is on appeal for 2020 and 2018. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Questions? Brad?
So you referenced You referenced a 2016 lease.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to assume that you were not aware that they are related, Wilms Training and the number company related corporations.
Well, there's an inconsistency with regards to gross rents that are listed on the income expense mailers in 2017.
Right. So the question was whether you had any knowledge of whether the premise occupant and the real estate owner were related corporations.
I am not aware of that. I'm only as good as the information that's been provided to us.
Right.
And when I look at the 2017 income...
Were you aware that this property was previously leased with a term ending in October of 16 at 440 a square foot?
I did see that in my information, yes.
So if you have a non-arm's length lease at a high rent and an actual rent arm's length, the tenant in the previous lease was Iron Mountain, right?
Yes.
And so if you have an arm's length lease at 440 and a non-arm's length lease at a much higher rent, probably wouldn't rely on the non-arm's length lease rate.
No, but what I'd also factor in is that when we have a sale for a property at $3,675,000, which is a good sale, that tells me that the rent that was being paid is not indicative of market conditions.
Okay, but for business assessment purposes, our job is to establish what the premise would rent for, correct?
And I provided those comparables on the first page of the document.
Yep. Those are my questions.
Linda?
I have no questions.
Neil?
Okay, your comparable, well, your third comparable, 170 Eagle Drive, is that in the same complex?
Yeah, that's in the same complex. So that was the lease that Mr. Bolsher was talking about. Oh, that was the new lease that had taken place, because, just bear with me here for 1 sec.
753. So it was the subject property?
What's that? So what has happened here is that the lease that had taken place, so this is the new lease that had taken place September 16th, and on the 2016 appeal, it was Iron Mountain that had a lease in place there, and so the rent that Mr. Borgstrom was quoting at the $4 was the old lease that would have taken place.
So they signed a new lease, this Iron Mountain, you said?
Well, Iron Mountain was the previous tenant.
Okay.
Wilhelm's is the new tenant,
So they're...
and they're reporting a $14.
Okay, but where does the 753 come from then? October 2016, 1 year.
September 16th. That's $14.01. Well,
you're
the
comparable three.
753.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you comparable 3, where did that come from? Seems to be
That-
subject property.
That would come from. Let me just double check here, because if that's a 3-year, that's a 1-year lease. Yeah, so I have in front of me here the 16 mailer with Iron Mountain, and the 2016 mailer was from, so 21,500 times 12 divided by 34,255 equals 753. So when Iron Mountain, in October of 2016, Iron Mountain signed a triple net lease at $7.53.
Okay, the property
I'm sorry, what date?
October 1st, 2016.
And then the property then was subsequently sold and Iron Mountain moved out?
It's there was a change of ownership, and then it was sold for $3,675,000
In what?
in September of 2016.
Oh, September 2000.
So 1 month after the property was sold, there was Iron Mountain had a 1-year lease at $7.53.
Okay. All right. Now I understand. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
So, Merrick, just so that I'm clear, you just said that Iron Mountain leased the property in 2016
Yep.
for 1-year term?
Yes.
Okay.
At $7.53. I'm reading it off here.
Is that it for your questions, Neil?
Yeah.
On with your presentation.
So I'm going to start off correcting Merrick's statement. For clarification, Mr. Hart, this is a single occupant industrial property. One occupant for the entire property. And so when we take a look at the submitted 2017 income and expense questionnaire, and I'm going to assume that you can all see this now.
What page is that on, Brad?
This is the 2017 income and expense, 2016 income and expense questionnaire, and you'll see there a lease starting September 16, 2016, Wilms Craney. This is not Iron Mountain. And so 7335769 Manitoba and Wilms Craney are related corporations. Now I'm going to turn you to new share, and I'm going to show you the excerpt from our 2000.
Is this all new information that you're giving us here, Brad?
Well, what I'm doing is correcting Merrick's statements. So when he says that Iron Mountain leased this property in 2016, that's inaccurate. It's Wilms Craney. And when you see here on this page, this is our submission for the 2020 realty assessment. And you'll see here under the income approach,
So is that,
okay, oops, why is that going down there?
is in the brief? Is that in the?
No, and so what I'm doing is I'm showing you that this property was certainly, the assessment department was previously told, certainly in December 2019, they would have been made aware in a previous appeal as well, this lease is not arm's length. And
That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about,
Mr.
one second.
Yeah, thank you.
We're not talking about that issue right now. We're talking about Iron Mountain in 2016.
Right, and I show that in our evidence, but I also showed it in our realty brief, where you can see that Iron Mountain, their lease ended October 15, 2016. They didn't occupy it after that, and so I'm correcting Merrick's error in fact. Okay? And then below that, as you look just above the rental comparables, the subject property was owner occupied as of the reference date. Okay? So the lease in place in 2016, Wilms Craning, is a related corporation, not an arm's length lease, it's a book rent. I verified this with the owners. I personally inspected the property and get into that as I go through our submission. Okay?
Well, we have a conflict, so.
It's not a conflict, Merrick. I showed you the 2016 lease information showing Wilms Craning. This is on the INE submitted to the city, and I just showed it to you.
Well, so then why do I have a brief that's dated, September 30th, 2016, showing a right here from Iron Mountain for $7.53?
Well, I can't speak to what you're looking at there, but what I'm looking at here is the INE that was submitted to the city and posted by the city on its website.
So in 2017, which is the reference here, we clearly state that it's Wilms Craning Limited, and so is the book rented place here?
And so when you look at the screen that I'm showing you now, you'll see there under the tenant name Wilms Craning. It's not Iron Mountain, it's Wilms Craning. This is not an arm's length relationship. It's a book rent.
But what I'm presenting here is a net lease that was in place in 2016, which is indicative of market conditions.
The lease that was in place, okay, then I'll pull that one up as well. You're looking at the 2016 rent roll or the 2015 rent roll?
2016 rent roll.
So that was for their year end. So let me share this one.
Brad, you should probably expand it because.
Hey, I'm working on it.
Okay.
Some of our old tired eyes.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that we're clear. So here you see Iron Mountain.
Yeah.
And they showed the lease there. But this, if you look at the date of this was for the year ending 9/30/16. So I think whoever submitted this was an error. But when you look at the year ended 9/30/16, it's pretty clear from looking at the following year's rent roll that Wilms Craning is in there. This lease information very clearly at the top indicates that it's for the year ended. It may be mislabeled by the department, I don't know. But it's very clear here that 9/30/16 is the year ended that they're referring to for the Iron Mountain lease.
I take offense to that comment because we base the information on the mailers that we get here. And if you do the math based on what you're doing, Brad, do you want to go through the exercise of doing the math for us of what the monthly rent would be times 12 divided by the area? And I believe it's consistent with the information that I provided on my brief.
Yeah, 'cause you do say October 2016.
Yeah.
753. And that's exactly what you're saying, Brad. You're saying it ended in the end of 2016.
No, but it says here so on the mailer it says from 2016 to 2017. What we're showing is that there was a new lease in place for 1 year. So I don't know what happened afterwards, but this is the information that they provided us. And the date for this,
And when are you staying willing? The crane company moved in.
well, I think in fairness to Brad, is that Willems came in because if it's an owner-occupied space right now,
Yeah.
they paid $3.6 million for it, and they kicked Iron Mountain out.
Well, they'd have to buy it the rest
Or
of
buy
the
out the
lease.
rest, yeah.
Yeah, well, just looking at when that lease term ended, all I know is that that information ended in September of 2016. So what happened after that was non-Iron Mountain. And when you do the calculations for the 12 months, can you see the due date April 29, 2016 rent roll here?
Right?
Okay, when you do the mathematics here, Merrick,
Yeah.
that's $4.40
Yeah.
per square foot net.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened on the electronic submission. I don't have an answer to that. But this is what the lease for Iron Mountain was. This is what was submitted to the city.
Maybe because the start date for that was a 1-year lease as well? Was that
Yeah, this was
2015?
actually, I'm going to say a year and a half. That's from April 15
Okay,
to October of 16, so a year and a half.
yeah. We have trouble seeing it over here, Roll, in the stadium.
Hey, hang on.
Yeah, I'm good now.
There you go. So Iron Mountain, right?
Yeah.
You can see there 2000, so April of 15 to October of 16, that's about a year and a half. You do the mathematics between the monthly rent net
Yeah.
and the leased area, that's $4.40 a square foot. So I think somebody, wherever that other information
So if we
came
go
from,
in
I don't know,
Question.
but this is what was submitted by the previous owner with the actual Iron Mountain lease. Iron Mountain did not occupy the property
that you've got.
after
The
2000.
sheet here?
Yeah, the electronic sheet. The electronic sheet that you showed that had the 753.
That's based on what the owner enters into the system.
So is it possible that somebody
So that-
did it?
So there's always inconsistencies in income and expense mailers. A typical example would be 630 Curtahan, where
I'm not worried about
no,
that.
but what I'm saying
You're
though,
saying it was adjusted by the city away from this number?
I'm not saying that. Of course not. I'm saying is that what the owner had provided us is what we entered into the system.
But that's what he provided you right there.
Yeah, that's the 2015 mailer.
But he
I got
also
the-
showed the next year.
Yeah.
He showed that
Where's
first.
the 16?
The 16 is the one he showed at the 753.
That was the 753.
That was the 753 one, yeah. And then the property became owner occupied, and it sold for $3.6 million in March of 2000. In September
Iron Mountain, yeah, to
2016.
be clear, Iron Mountain did not occupy this property after September of 16.
And and that would
But all
make,
he's
and that,
using-
yeah.
All you're using Iron Mountain for is a rent comparable, saying at one period in time they were paying 753.
Exactly.
But Brad
That's
said
not-
they never did.
And, no, they did it. The next one, in 16, your 16 shows a 753, correct?
Well, but I don't know that's not, I don't know who entered it. It's not 2016, it showed that the year ended September of 16, and if it's $4.40 a square foot net, that it might well have been showing a gross rent there, I don't know.
But the other properties are also, that you showed as examples are all higher. They're in the 650.
Yeah, and ultimately, we're not using 440, so.
Yeah.
I think I've
Well, let's
confused
move
the
on to your
issue now.
presentation now that you've made that point on this issue. And we'll get your presentation.
Okay, so I have, there we go. So I can tell you that I have personally inspected this property. I have had conversations directly with the wife of the owner of the property, who toured me through this, and then the husband took over on the tour. So I can tell you with certainty that Wilms Craning and the number company is a whole police relationship, not arm's length. I've included a floor plan on page 9 of our submission, and it's, the warehouse area is divided into 4 sections. The very rear section used to be a truck wash. It's got a drain in there, and that's what they used to use it for. Page 10 and following are pictures arising from my inspection of the property. I have to look at the dates. But it might have been for the 18 appeal. But certainly I don't believe it was earlier than that. And so you'll see on page 18, the very bottom picture on page 18, that's the truck wash area that I was telling you about, the drains, and you can see there, that's what they're still using for, you can see water on the floor. So it's open span, good wall height, ceiling space, wall height. So we took a look at some rental comparables in the area. We can show some overhead shots on pages 3 and 4 of the property. We go through some description on page 3. I'm showing rental comparables, 8 of them all in the Inkster Park area. You see there they range from low $4.50 to a high of almost $8 a square foot. The average and median are around the $6 range. That's what I've used. This is an average kind of property. Nothing extraordinary or extraordinarily desirable about it. I do note on page 6 that the property was in fact, at least according to the income and expense questionnaire we just looked at, $4.40 a square foot between the 15th of April 2015 and 15th of October 2016, so about a year and a half at $4.40 a square foot. I didn't rely on it, and ultimately we decided on $6 a square foot is the appropriate rent for this property. And so we go through the calculations on page 7. There's no differences between occupancy costs, the sole issue here is going to be base rent. Mathematics, we're looking for a reduction to $279,300. And that is the information I'm going to cover.
Question, Mayor.
For realty, you so you've taken this property on appeal for the past 3 cycles?
I haven't looked at the appeal history.
Okay. So are there outstanding, so you don't know if there's any outstanding municipal boards?
It's not, I'll take you at your word, but I haven't looked at it. It's not one of the considerations that is involved in this.
Okay. So, do you know who leased the property in 2013?
In 2013?
Yeah.
Not off the top of my head, but I can see if we have it.
Okay.
No, we don't have the INEs going back that far.
Okay.
There was a resolution to the appeal on the 14th
Okay.
realty,
Yeah.
but I don't have the income and expense questionnaires.
Because there was no change of ownership, yet it was owner occupied in 2013. So that's why I'm sort of questioning it or wondering.
Well, again, the information that I'm showing shows it was leased to Iron Mountain from April of 2015 to October of 2016.
Okay.
I don't know what happened in 2013.
Okay. But and then with regards to the lease in place, and that was with Iron Mountain for $7.53. So.
Well, I don't know whether that's gross, Merrick, but it's very clear to me that the lease rate on a net basis in the handwritten version that we showed, and it's detailed in our brief here, is at $4.40 on a net basis.
Okay. But that $4.40 is significantly lower than the $6.33 that we're using, and it's actually $1 more.
It is, yeah. But I've not relied on the 440 Merrick. I've been seeing $6 a square foot.
Yeah. But you're implying that's fine.
It's one of the pieces of evidence that I have considered,
Okay.
but my opinion is $6 a square foot is appropriate for this building.
No other questions.
Linda?
I have no further questions.
Neil?
No questions.
And I've got no questions. Thank you very much. And I guess we'll be signing off till next time with you, Brad.
Okay, so just a quick note to Kara. Thank you for sending those over, the briefs in the form they did. Made it real easy to look at.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Catch you
Good
next time.
afternoon. I'm sure we'll chat, Mary.
Yep, for sure.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
For sure.
Just so I can stretch my legs.
There's one through there, yeah. Going. You got one through there, and then on the left. Okay. It's quite a heavy door. You're right.
So what I learned here. So how do I just shut off the
So you
remote?
yeah, at the top there, that X there,
Yeah.
and you'll end the remote.
Okay. So then
And
I'll
you'll
still
just
have
wanna
access to.
Control Alt Delete here, and then you can just log out for sign